Section 1 of the Sad Years. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Sad Years by Dora Sigerson Shorter. Preface entitled Dora Sigerson, A Tribute and Some Memories by Catherine Tynan. To think of Dora Sigerson, and it is a poignant thought, takes one back to Dublin in the 90s or the later 80s. I think it was on a summer Sunday in 1887 that Dr. Sigerson came to see me with his two daughters and Rose Kavanagh, whom I already knew. The Yeatses were there that Sunday for the big meal at a most unfashionable hour, which was a feature of those years for the young writers and artists of Dublin. My old home was in the country, just under the Dublin mountains, and, I think, a very delightful place. Everyone, of course, knew Dr. Sigerson by repute. The house was full of the young that day, with just a sprinkling of the young of heart like Mr. Yeats and my father and Dr. Sigerson. I remember that my brother said to me, "Miss Sigerson is very beautiful." She was. Her face then had some curious suggestion of the Greek Hermes. She wore her dark hair short, and it was in heavy masses. She had a beautiful brow, and eyebrows, very fine gray eyes, a short straight nose, a warm pale color, and vivid red lips. A little later the Irish-American Miss Louise Imogen Guiney dedicated her Roadside Harp to the Sigerson sisters. There in the Druid brake, if the cuckoo be awake, again, oh, take my rhyme, and keep it long for the sake of a bygone primrose time. You of the star-bright head, that twilight thoughts sequester, you to your native fountains led, like to a young muse garlanded, Dora and Hester. Dora was indeed like to a young muse garlanded. She was singularly beautiful, with some strange hint of storm in her young beauty. She was so full of artistic impulse and achievement of many kinds, and she arrived at so much of art without any apprenticeship that the word genius seems not inapplicable to her. Our friendship flowed straight on from that summer Sunday of 1887. Dr. Sigerson's house in Clare Street became my headquarters when I went into Dublin from my country house. Dora was always painting or writing or doing sculpture. I can remember her coming from somewhere downstairs to the drawing room at No. 3 Clare Street when I was announced, wearing a sort of sculptor's blouse. There is still in her old home, crowded with beautiful things, at least one head by her of a nymph or a dryad, strangely delicate and pensive. I don't think she had read much poetry till John O'Leary, saying her poetry was too introspective, gave her Percy's Relics, whence the genesis of her fine ballad poetry. If she had any training as an art student for her painting and drawing and sculpture, it must have been very slight. The gifts came to her out of the air, so to speak, real gifts and nothing acquired. For 7 good years my life was inextricably interwoven with hers and Hester's. We had the same friends, the same merrymakings, the same tastes and aims. We were of the circle which revolved around the great old Fenian John O'Leary and his not less noble sister. We visited the American poets, Mr. and Mrs. Piatt, at Queenstown, where Mr. Piatt was American consul. We spent many happy days at Mr. Richard Ashe King's delightful house at Waltham Terrace, Black Rock. We wrote for the same papers. Presently Dora Sigerson and I were together in politics, both Parnellites, when the split came. Together we attended Mr. Parnell's meetings. We went to meet him when he returned to Dublin from the country. We lived through all the passionate loyalty of those days. Together we exulted, together we mourned, together we followed our chief to the grave, not thinking upon how she should one day lie near him. Perhaps the best holiday we had together was a scamper through Donegal on some business about the industries for Lady Aberdeen. It was just before I was married. From the time we left Amiens Street Station till we returned it was all pure enjoyment. The people with their beautiful manners, the wonderful scenery, the hotels, the car drivers, the priests, the little towns, the wild lonely places, the great hospitality, all were a delight to her. She was full of the joie de vivre, despite the hint of tragedy in her beauty. She did madcap things.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?